Hey, it's Agent Republic, and you know who that is. It's
Suzanne King
and Claudio Encina. Thanks for joining us. Suzanne, today we're going to talk a little bit about vendor management and the process, because it is a process, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So,
well, it should be a process.
It should be a process, and it's it's having a framework around it. And I think a lot of agents can sometimes get a little bit lazy, or not really have the framework. They know it, but they're not doing it around the vendor management. And it's all about like setting the vendor's expectations through the sales campaign, right?
Yeah.
So I suppose a couple of things that you could maybe talk about the vendor and what they should be expecting, and what the agent can do to, I suppose, give them that certainty that everything is okay.
Yes, and I think that's a really key point, because sometimes it can be really easy, especially when you've got levels of success, to then go, I could just skip doing these things, because let's face it, vendor management actually requires effort, and there's a lot of points to it. So sometimes when we're having a lot of success, it's easy to drop the things that are giving us the success that we need. And the other thing too is, like, that's where we sometimes find the guys, they're like, oh my gosh, business is slow.
Yeah.
And it's not because business is slow now, it's usually because backtrack a few months, they stopped doing the things that were important.
Yeah.
So what are some of the really important things for vendor management?
Okay, so first thing I would start, and we've all heard it's like the set to sell meeting, but for me it's more about an expectation meeting, really. And you normally have this expectation meeting roughly, I would say, like 2 days before the first open. And generally just you have a little bit of dialogue around, like, hey Suzanne, we've had some really good inquiry and some great hits on the web since we've gone live with your property. What I do with all my clients is to sit down with them a couple of days before, just to make sure and run through a couple of things that I feel are important over the next 4 weeks while we work together to get your home sold. And you set that meeting, and at the expectation meeting there, I won't take you through the whole process, but I really want agents to understand that, talk about to the vendor benchmarks, okay? Because they don't know how to measure, like, am I on track to sell? They think 1,000 hits, wow, this is great. Everyone wants to buy my house. And 1,000 hits doesn't mean anything really. But what we need to talk to them about is benchmark. So the first benchmark I would just generally say to them is, look, this Saturday, I'm really expecting, Suzanne, somewhere between 10 to 15 groups through.
And don't BS it.
Exactly.
Don't BS it. Don't go, we have a database of 5 billion people, but yet you haven't spoken to hardly any of them. Don't BS it. Be realistic, because the last thing you want to do is set an expectation that's too high, and then when the day actually comes, they feel like they've been let down, because it's about relationship expectation as well. It's really managing that relationship.
Absolutely. And then the second benchmark that you would talk about is like contracts that you would expect to give out on the first Saturday. So if it's a good quality home, you might say, well, look, for your home, Suzanne, I'm expecting somewhere between 1 and 2 contracts to be requested either this weekend or by Monday. Okay. But again, like what Suzanne was saying, don't go and BS it. Be absolutely truthful. A home like that, you should get 1 to 2.
Exactly right.
If it's a unit in Bondi and it's listed at 800,000, you know that you probably get like 6 to 10 contracts out on a weekend. All right, so you might use that as a benchmark. So every benchmark relates to exactly what that property is.
Yeah, so know the area.
Exactly.
Know the area.
Third benchmark is people talking about price feedback and saying, like, Suzanne, this weekend I really want to be thinking that we get some feedback somewhere between maybe 800 to 850 for your property.
So what, $1 million listing isn't the thing that we need to benchmark our property prices on? It's a joke.
Okay, you had me there going.
Sometimes Claudio looks at me and he's like, really?
Suzanne, I am a bit slow.
Still good.
It's at 5 a.m. club. I'm still
exactly
waking
right.
up.
We're still there.
So that's the next benchmark. And then the other benchmark is talking about if they receive an offer on the first weekend. Now, for all the people out there in the tribe, and I know that sometimes when you get that first offer, you take it to the owner, and you know what they say, Suzanne? The owner goes, well, it's the first weekend. Let's just see what happens the next weekend.
And my property's special.
Exactly. And they think, well, that offer's going to be there the weekend after. And sometimes that first buyer that gives you that first offer is the one that wants to buy it. So if you set the expectation with your vendor and say, look, Suzanne, if we do get an offer on the first weekend, please let's just consider it, not discount it. Because I've had in the past where some vendors have gone, look, it's the first weekend, let's just see what happens the second weekend. And then they go to the second weekend, they don't have that sort of euphoria that they've had in the first weekend of the open, and they go, oh, we'll take that offer from that buyer. And what happens to that buyer? They're gone.
Cold. They're cold.
Exactly. So this is about just managing those expectations. So I would say to you, make sure that you have those benchmarks set up from the initial one. Yes, you do the vendor reports. Yes, you give your vendors a call daily, as you should anyway.
Well, it's just something that I would like to talk about, because sometimes I think we can have a set structure. Oh, I'm going to call them daily. I'm going to do X, Y, and Z. Now, the big ticket items, you want to have that really set and structured. But think about it. It's relationship. One person is going to be different to another person. One person might want to be called every day, another person might not. So it's really valuable to say, hey, how often would you like me to communicate with you? How often would you like me to call? Because then you're being personalized. You're not like every other agent that has a tick box activity, because people feel that, and we don't want to have that feeling, because we talk a lot about your energy introduces yourself. So for the big important things, yes, make sure it's structured and you tick those things off. But then for some of the other ones that have a bit of flexibility around them, actually ask the question, how often would you like to hear from me? And then obviously do that. And you might even want to educate them and say, look, most people like to hear from me daily because of X, Y, and Z. But the last thing you want to be doing, if someone says, no, I trust you, I don't need to hear from you daily, and then you start calling them daily, well, you're becoming a nuisance. So it's got to be personalised.
Absolutely. And the other thing too, I see a lot of agents when they send their progress reports, vendor progress reports to their vendor, one thing I notice is they put a person's name and left message. Now I've got to tell you guys, if I was a client and I saw, and I'm paying you $20,000 commission, and out of the 30 people that came through on Saturday and 15 of them you had LM left message, I'm going to be really upset with you. I'm paying you to contact these people and get some really good quality feedback. So please do not just put LM left message, okay? Because that to me would say you're not doing your job. I'm paying you $20,000 and we're not getting anywhere. So be really careful of that. And also the other thing I would really say, Suzanne, is with vendor management, good agents are caring, but they're also candid. Good, you've got to have balance. Don't be, you know what, if you're too caring, it becomes dysfunctional. And if you'd hit them over the head, as we call it, which is not great, okay, and they start to resent you. So don't be too candid either. Have a real good even balance with your vendor management. But the main, I suppose, message from us is keep it real, keep it right on where you want to take it to, but make sure you've got a good process around your vendor management.
And if you've really enjoyed this video today and you want daily tips, make sure you join us on Facebook Live at 5 a.m. because we'll have the 5 a.m. club and we'll be talking through every single day what you can be doing, Monday to Saturday, every single day, what you can actually be doing.
Absolutely. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you next time.